This is 4.2 and this is Mr. K's, and today we're going to be talking about Assyria, the bad boys of Mesopotamia, dominating the Fertile Crescent. And we're going to see how they do that. Well, they're going to do that by building a huge military machine, a huge army with chariots. What time do these folks start? Well, we're talking about 850 BC. That's about 2,800 years ago, in the northern area of Mesopotamia, close to the Zagros Mountains. The problem was the flat land that they lived on between those rivers made them open or vulnerable to attack. So, in response to that, they became very warlike. Their king Sennacherib burned down Babylon to the south. And he bragged about his victories. How do we know that? Because he wrote them down. He wrote them down. The Assyrians were very warlike. They glorified the military. Every little boy wanted to grow up and be a soldier. Every little girl wanted to grow up and give birth to a son so she could give him to the army. Now, the Assyrians had a knowledge of working in iron. So they built iron-tipped spears and arrows, iron chariots, etc., etc. They were great at crossing rivers. Now, the Tigris and Euphrates River is right in their backyard, so they made what was called pontoon bridges so their armies could cross very quickly. And when they attacked another person's walled cities, they tunneled under those walls to make the walls collapse. When they captured people, they showed no mercy. They slaughtered people. They forced people to leave their homelands to go somewhere else, to work for them. They forced these people to pay taxes and tribute. Tribute is money for living. When they won that new territory from in the war, their empire begins to expand. Their city was at Nineveh, north of Babylon, on the Tigris River, is Nineveh. Now that was a walled city that was so thick, their walls were so thick, that people could live in the walls. They had apartments. And they also had walls that were so thick you could hold chariot races on top. So their walled defenses helped to keep them safe, and they waged war to make sure that nobody was going to attack them. Now, at Nineveh, Sennacherib had a beautiful library there also that was for his use. Later on, King Ashurbanipal was able to read several languages, so he increased the library. But the problem was, as the Assyrians grew too fast, they had to spread their empire too thin, because you have to have soldiers left behind to rule over the conquered people. Nineveh eventually is going to fall to invaders. The Medes and the Chaldeans dogpiled on the Assyrians, and the walls of Nineveh were leveled to the ground in about 612. The Chaldeans made their capital Babylon 1,000 years after Hammurabi had ruled it. So the region is still rich with trade and with grandeur. And then later on, King Nebuchadnezzar restores Babylon to its former grandeur and builds one of the ancient wonders of the world, the Hanging Gardens. And you can see a picture there. And a 7-tiered ziggurat, remember that's a temple, observatory for astronomy and for astrology. Astronomy for science, astrology for their religion. King Nebuchadnezzar, remember, is the Babylonian king who captured the Israelites and brought them back to Babylon for about 70 years. Well, we're putting it all together, aren't we? This is 4.2, and this is Mr. K's. I'm down the river. Actually, I'm around the corner here from this ziggurat. See ya.